A successful attack for the US and a possible massive setback for Iran. US missiles have struck a convoy just outside Baghdad's airport and killed one of Iran's most important military leaders. The US Defense Department said in a statement, "At the direction of the President, the US military has taken decisive defensive action to protect US personnel abroad by killing Qasem Soleimani, the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' Quds Force, a US designated foreign terrorist organization." The Pentagon says Soleimani was responsible for the death of hundreds of American soldiers and coalition service members in the region. It also accuses him of ordering this week's attack and siege on the US embassy in Baghdad. Iran has condemned Soleimani's assassination and says such actions will destabilize the region.
America's action, without any doubt, is an act of state terrorism and a violation of Iraq's sovereignty. It murdered people who dedicated their entire lives to fight tyranny, oppression, terror, and extremism. Soleimani and Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, his martyred comrade, had an outstanding role in the Iraqi and Syrian people's fight against Daesh. The pure and holy blood of Qasem Soleimani will definitely make the tree of resistance more robust and make the Iranian people more united.
General Soleimani was regarded as a heroic figure in Iran and in Shia circles across the Middle East for his role in ending Daesh's self-proclaimed caliphate. He was the mastermind behind Iran's military support of Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria, the Hezbollah militia in Lebanon, Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and Houthi rebels in Yemen. He was also the architect of Tehran's support for militias in Iraq and the Shia politicians who run that country. But he was loathed by many figures in the oil-rich Sunni Arab states. And international human rights groups also held him responsible for massacres and sectarian violence carried out by Shia militias in Syria, Lebanon, and particularly Iraq. His assassination has already had an international economic impact. Oil prices surged up by 4% within a few hours of his death. Iran has previously responded to US attacks by seizing oil tankers in the Gulf. Ships use this international waterway to transport a quarter of the world's oil supply. Iran was also blamed for launching drone attacks on oil facilities in Saudi Arabia in September. Iranian leaders say pressure from Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Israel has made the US more aggressive towards Tehran. They also say they have so far acted with restraint, but analysts say Soleimani's assassination means Iran is no longer likely to pull its punches.
It's obvious that the Iranians consider this to be an act of war carried out by the US regime, not only against the Iranian people, but also against the people of Iraq. The Americans have murdered a senior Iranian general, not a shadowy figure.
The killing has sent shockwaves through international capitals, with many leaders and diplomats calling it a game changer in America's regional power struggle with Iran. Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei has declared 3 days of mourning and promised retaliation, setting the stage for a potential new war in the Middle East. Shoaib Hasan, TRT World.
Now, Babak Emamian is a member of the British Iranian Business Association in London. He says Iran might retaliate by disrupting Saudi Arabia's oil exports.
Mainly, we are talking about the oil market. So the issue is whether there will be a disruption to the supply side. And the supply side would be the disruption from the Iraqi oil, 3.5 million Iraqi oil. That's the first question, because right now, Iranian oil is irrelevant to the world economy because they are selling at 200,000 barrels per day. So the Iranian oil export is irrelevant. So the only issue is that 3.5 million Iraqi oil exports, whether that will be disrupted. Now, it is not good for the Iranians to cause any disruption because right now Iran makes its money from Iraqi oil exports, because by having Iraqis lots of money, the Iranian goods is sold to them, and Iran is now benefiting something like $15 billion a year to $20 billion a year from supplying goods, white goods. These are like refrigerators and house items to the Iraqis. So the Iranian will not try to disrupt the Iraqi oil export, but they may disrupt the Saudi oil export. I think once bitten, the Saudis have upped their defenses, or one would hope that they have done that. And we've now learned that there is so much that the Iranian can cause damages to the oil export for Saudis or disrupt oil supplies through the Strait of Hormuz. Because at the end of the day, the biggest losers would be the Southeast Asia economies and Chinese economy. And Iran needs the support of the Chinese economy. So they will not try to disrupt oil supplies through the Strait of Hormuz. They may try to attack the oil installations in Saudis just to show some sort of retaliation, but that will not cause a lot of damages. I don't believe it will cause a lot of damage to the oil export, Saudi's oil export. But in terms of dollar terms, we are looking maybe $5 going on the oil prices. So right now it's between 65, 69, maybe it would go to $75. But $100 oil per barrel, I don't think so. The Chinese have started a stimulus. So they've said this year they will have a stimulus. ECB, European Central Bank, also are talking about another stimulus. And the US economy is on constant stimulus. So I think 2020, we will have a surprise rise in demand. But the supply side of it also, there are Norway's coming in, other African countries are coming in on the supply side. And there is that tightness that people talk about supply and demand. They said that a year ago about if you take the 3 million barrel per day of Iranian out of the oil world supply side of it, there will be oil prices going up, and we saw that didn't affect it. So right now it seems that there is that hidden like 4 to 5 million barrel of supply side that the world can afford, and it won't have an impact on the oil prices as such.